Welcome back to the MAME pre-configuration project. In the last video we covered the NeoGeo MVS, so in today's video I'm going to be covering the Hyper NeoGeo 64 and mopping up all of the rest of the SNK games. Now with Hyper NeoGeo at the moment, as of recording, which is MAME version 0.255, these games are listed as not working, but they do run and they are serviceable to a certain extent. You just will get some jank and some audio issues, but it can only get better from here, and these work well enough for me to configure for them. There were only 7 games made for it, and setting controls for these was pretty standard fare. And of course, if a fighting game has a button combination for a power move or a tag or anything like that, of course I've combined those up and put them on the shoulder buttons. And Beast Busters is a light gun game that's 100% accurate straight out the box. Now Bariki 1, or whatever it's called, it has the most unintuitive control scheme I've ever come across for a fighting game. This game's original control scheme had an 8-way digital joystick on the left and 2 buttons on the right, and you might think that sounds normal, but its implementation was all arse backwards. The 2 digital buttons on the right were for moving your character left and right, and the joystick on the left was for punching, kicking, jumping and blocking, so it's all arse about face. So I've taken the 2 digital move buttons and put them on the left stick, and the stick that was meant for punching, kicking, blocking and doing all of the moves, I've moved to the right stick. So it kind of plays like a modern EA fighting game. When it comes to enhancements, blood, flash and violence are on for all of these games, so all the good stuff is here. And with Beast Busters, I've made sure that jibbing is on. Now let's move on to the rest of the SNK games, and there's really only one thing that needs to be mentioned here, and that's the rotary joystick games. On original hardware, you would need to twist the joystick in order to turn or spin your character in game. And obviously figuring that out for use with controllers was a little bit tricky, but ultimately nothing I can't handle. And you can play these games in one of 3 ways. Now the first thing that I need to mention is that some of these games have a hacked bootleg version available that completely removes the rotary aspect out of the input system. So they just play like a normal top-down shooter. Not all of the rotary games have that available, and for those I've mapped for 2 different play styles. You can either use the right stick to turn your character and the shoulder buttons for attack, or you can use the trigger buttons to spin your character and use the face buttons to attack. So you have the choice. And I've gone ahead and done that for all of the rotary games, even those that have bootleg joystick versions. Everything else was relatively straightforward and easy. Now over on the Launchbox forums you've got all of my documentation here, so if you want to know which versions are the non-rotary versions, just visit this page and it will tell you right here. And you can also grab all of those images and those pre-configured MAME files from this page as well, and they're available over on GitHub, and I'll put links for all of this in the description below. There we go, that was the rest of SNK. On to the next, which is going to be the CPS 1, 2 and 3 games. So if you want to keep up to date with that, you know what to do, and if you liked today's video, slam me a thumbs up. And apart from that, go play some games. Adios.